Hi, I'm Torben Jansen from thoughtsonjava.org with a new Hibernate tip video. Today I will answer a question about the difference between a column annotation with length set to 50 and a size annotation with max set to 50. But before we dive deeper into today's topic, if this is your first time here and you want to learn how to create your entity mappings with ease, build incredible efficient persistence layers with Hibernate, and all types of other Java persistence related stuff, start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. Okay, now that this is done, let's get back to today's question. I was asked, some of our entity attributes are annotated with a column annotation with length 50, others with a size annotation with max 50, and others with both of them. What's the difference between the two annotations? Does it make any difference which one we use, or do we need both of them? Even though it might seem like both annotations do the same, there are a few crucial differences. The column annotation is part of the JPA specification, while the size annotation belongs to the bean validation specification. So if we want to use the size annotation, you need to add an additional dependency to your project. The length attribute of the column annotation specifies the size of the database column and gets only used when your persistence provider generates the database schema. But the size annotation tells your bean validation implementation to perform a proper validation at runtime. If you use the column annotation and let your persistence provider generate the database schema, your database will reject any values that are more than 50 characters long. The size annotation gets evaluated within your Java application before the entity gets persisted or updated. Let's take a look at an example in the IDE. If you annotate the title attribute of a book entity with column, the only thing Hibernate will do is to generate a create table statement that limits the size of the column to 50 characters. If you use that create table statement to create your database table, the database will return an error if you try to store more than 50 characters in a title field. But Hibernate will not perform any validation within your application. Let's use the size annotation instead of the previously used column annotation. As I explained in great details in a previous article, the JPA and the bean validation specification integrate very well. In this case, that provides two main benefits. If you configure Hibernate to generate the database tables, it will limit the size of the database column based on the maximum size defined by the size annotation. As a result, you get the same create table statement as in the previous example. Hibernate will automatically trigger your bean validation implementation before it persists or updates an entity. That gives you another layer of protection that doesn't rely on the execution of a specific generated DDL statement. As you have seen through this video, Hibernate generates the same create table statement for both annotations. But for the size annotation, Hibernate automatically triggers a validation before it inserts or updates the entity. That makes the size annotation the safer and more powerful approach to validate the size of the value of an entity attribute. Okay, that's it for today. If you want to learn more about Hibernate, you should join the free Thoughts on Java library. It gives you free access to a lot of member-only content, like several ebooks about JPA and Hibernate, a printable PDF version of this Hibernate tip, lots of cheat sheets, and a video course. I'll add the link to it to the video description below. See you next week for a new Hibernate tip, and if you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe below. Bye!